Have you ever shared a big dream with people, felt amazing for a moment, and then somehow lost all the motivation to actually do it? Have you noticed how talking about your goals sometimes feels just as good as achieving them, even though nothing in your life really changes? If you've ever wondered why your energy disappears after you announce your plans, this story might hit closer to home than you expect. Welcome to my new video. Today's story is about a young man named Michael and a mistake many of us make without even realizing it. Michael lived in a quiet town where everyone knew everyone. He wasn't lazy, he wasn't stupid, in fact, he was full of ideas, big ideas. Almost every week he came up with a new vision for his future. One week he decided he would open a small cafe. He imagined people lining up for his coffee. He imagined his name on the sign above the door. The next week he wanted to become a photographer. He pictured his photos hanging in galleries. A few weeks later, he dreamed of starting a furniture business and building beautiful wooden tables and chairs. Michael wasn't short on ambition. What he was short on was silence. The moment a new idea entered his mind, he felt an uncontrollable urge to tell someone. Actually, not just someone, everyone. He would walk through town and announce his plans like they were already half accomplished. "I'm opening a cafe soon," he would say with confidence. "It's going to be the best one in this town." People smiled. They congratulated him. Some even said, "We can't wait to visit your place." Michael soaked it all in. He felt important. He felt respected. He felt like a successful man already. That night, he would lie in bed smiling, replaying their words in his head. But the next morning, something strange always happened. When it was time to actually work, he felt empty. The excitement was gone. The energy had disappeared. The cafe never moved beyond his imagination. A few days later, he would get another idea. This time, photography. He posted online about how he was going to become a professional photographer. Friends commented. They encouraged him. They told him he had great potential. Michael felt that familiar rush again. Pride, validation, satisfaction. He never bought a camera. This cycle repeated itself for years. New dream, big announcement, lots of praise, zero real action. Slowly, people stopped taking him seriously. They still smiled politely when he talked about his next big plan, but deep down, they didn't believe him anymore. And deep down, neither did he. One evening, Michael sat alone on a bench near the edge of town, staring at the ground. His chest felt heavy. He felt like a failure, but he couldn't understand why. He wasn't afraid of work. He wasn't afraid of effort. So why did he never finish anything? An old man approached him. The man was known in town for being quiet and humble. He wasn't rich, he wasn't famous, but everyone respected him because he lived a simple, disciplined life. The old man sat beside Michael and asked gently, "Why do you look so troubled, son?" Michael let out a slow breath. "I have so many dreams, but nothing ever works out. I start feeling excited, and then I lose all my motivation. I don't know what's wrong with me." The old man looked at him carefully. "Tell me something. What's the first thing you do when you get a new idea?" Michael answered without thinking, "I tell people. I want them to know what I'm going to do. I want them to believe in me." The old man nodded slowly. "Come to my garden tomorrow morning. I want to show you something." The next day, Michael met him in a small garden behind his house. The old man held 2 seeds in his hand. He gave one to Michael. "Plant this in the soil." Michael knelt down, dug a small hole, placed the seed inside, and covered it with dirt. Then the old man held up the second seed and called over a few children who were playing nearby. "Look at this seed," he said loudly. "One day it will become a big, beautiful tree. You all will see how amazing it will be." The children clapped. They smiled. They ran off laughing. The old man placed that seed on a flat rock in the open sun. Days passed. Every morning the old man quietly watered the buried seed. He never talked about it. He never pointed at the soil. He just did the work. A week later, a tiny green sprout appeared. Another week passed. It grew taller. Meanwhile, the seed on the rock began to dry out. Birds pecked at it. The wind pushed it around. Slowly, it fell apart. Michael watched all of this in silence. One morning, the old man stood beside him and said softly, "A seed needs darkness to grow. It needs protection. It needs silence. Left in the open, it dries up and dies." Michael felt something tighten in his chest. The old man continued, "When you talk about your dreams too early, your mind thinks the job is already done. The praise you receive becomes the reward, so your motivation disappears before the work even begins." Michael stared at the small green plant pushing its way out of the soil. For the first time in his life, he understood what he had been doing wrong. Michael stood there in the quiet garden, staring at the small green sprout pushing its way out of the soil. For a long moment, he said nothing. The old man watched him carefully. "Now tell me," the old man said softly, "which seed do you think will become a tree?" Michael swallowed. "The one we buried, the one no one talked about." The old man nodded. "Exactly. That seed was protected. It was hidden. It had time to grow roots before facing the world." Michael felt his chest tighten. Everything suddenly made sense. Every dream he had ever announced had been like the seed on the rock, left in the open, exposed to opinions, praise, and attention before it had any roots. The old man placed a hand on Michael's shoulder. "Dreams are weak at the beginning. They need silence. They need effort. They need patience. If you show them too early, you trade future results for instant validation." Michael went home that day with a heavy but clear mind. That night, he made a decision. He would choose one small goal and tell absolutely no one about it. No friends, no family, no social media, no announcements, nothing. He decided to build a simple wooden chair. Not a business, not a big dream, just one chair. The next evening after work, he bought a few pieces of wood and basic tools. He worked quietly in a corner of his garage. No one knew what he was doing. Some days he felt excited. Other days he felt tired and bored. More than once he wanted to quit, but something was different this time. There was no applause waiting for him, no praise, no one to impress, only the work in front of him. He made mistakes. He cut a piece too short. He nailed two parts the wrong way. He messed up the balance and had to start over. Old Michael would have quit and moved on to a new dream. This time, he stayed. Night after night, he kept working. Slowly, the chair began to take shape. When it was finally finished, Michael carried it outside and placed it in front of his house. He sat down carefully, almost afraid it might break. It didn't. He sat there in silence for a long time. For the first time in his life, he felt a deep, quiet pride. Not the fake pride that comes from words, the real kind that comes from effort. A neighbor walking by stopped and stared. "Michael, did you make this?" Michael nodded. "Yeah." "When?" the neighbor asked. Michael smiled slightly. "I've been working on it quietly." The neighbor shook his head in disbelief. "It's beautiful." That night, Michael didn't feel the need to tell anyone else. He didn't post about it. He didn't celebrate it. He just went back inside and started working on a small table. Again, he told no one. Weeks passed. The table was finished. Then a shelf, then a stool. Each project made him better, faster, more confident. People slowly began to notice his work. They didn't hear about his plans, they only saw his results. Years went by. Michael became known in town as a skilled craftsman. People respected him, not because of what he promised, but because of what he delivered. And the strange thing was, he no longer felt the urge to announce anything. He had learned the lesson of the seed. Now think about your own life. How many goals have you talked about that never happened? How many dreams did you kill by chasing praise instead of progress? When you announce your plans too early, your brain takes the reward before the work is done. You feel successful without becoming successful. That's why your motivation dies. Keep your goals private. Protect them. Work in silence. Let your effort be the soil. Let your discipline be the water. When your results are strong enough, people will notice without you saying a word. The world doesn't need to hear what you're building. It only needs to see what you've built. If this story made you think differently about your own goals, make sure to subscribe for more powerful stories like this. This is my voice of stories, and I'll see you in the next one.